Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Nerdy Up North Ice and Fire podcast, the podcast dedicated to the wonderful world of George R.R. Martin's Ice and Fire. I am Sam number one.
And I'm Sam number two.
And she fucking nailed that opening.
First time.
Fuck yeah. Get it. Hi, everyone. Hi, Sam.
Hello.
We all good?
Yeah, we are all good. And we are doing this back to back, by the way, guys. This is the back to the weekly occurrence.
Yeah.
As well.
Yes, we are back and looking more awake than what I did last week.
I think we both look way better than we did last time as well.
So it is a good day. And today, let's stop laughing at this. But today we're doing top 3 fan theories.
Yeah, and I think the sort of, when I put it on the little wheel, it was more as a case of any sort of theories that cropped up at all, even if they were disproven, anything like that, and what we liked about them, where we thought they could have gone with it, anything like that, and just go from there. I know we've not, so we don't know each other's list, but we have said before that Sam one has got one that has made her properly laugh.
Honestly, every time I see it pop up on my phone, I cannot stop laughing about it. So I'm going to get the disclaimer out of the way with, and we are going to crack on because I think this one is going to be an interesting one, especially when it's theories.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun. So everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone. If you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us in the Facebook group where we can have an open discussion. But what we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong. We can all agree to disagree in fandoms. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behavior out of nerdism.
Yes.
Boom. Yeah. Right. Okay. So I went first last week. So it's only fair
if I go
Sam
first
number 2 goes first week. Yeah.
Wonderful. These are some of them might get a little bit more in depth, but I'll explain it. My first one, so yeah, I am reading off my cards because I have to.
So just before we go any further, one thing you got to understand is Sam's really organized, whereas I just go off what's in here.
It's funny because the approach that you do to the podcast is the same approach that I do to uni. Surprisingly, I pay more attention and do more note taking than I do for a podcast that we do once a week than I do my literal degree.
I'm going to take that as a compliment.
I just love. A friend mentioned it to me because she's been watching the podcast as well. So hi, Sinead.
Hi, Sinead.
And she was saying that it's like cute. I get all excited about stuff and so I was just like I just love going through it because I get to go through everything or bits that I haven't seen for ages or things that I don't know at all or anything like that. It's just fun, isn't it? And
it is, and you're talking with someone who wants to talk to you about it. It's not like me talking to my husband who does not want to hear this anymore.
Same as my family. My family have got no idea. I am pretty much, apart from, I mentioned this on the charity podcast with like the whole how do you get into nerdism and stuff like that. And originally I thought it was like just more myself that kind of got into it. And my uncle got me into like Back to the Future and stuff like because he loves Back to the Future. Not really the nerdy side and stuff like that.
It's pop culture, so it's like it's still
nerdy
vibes.
He was only young when it came out and stuff like that, and it was so big and all this sort of stuff, and so he loved it. But with me, it is obviously I am a lone wolf in my family when it comes to this sort of thing. Massively. Nobody. Anytime I talk about stuff, no one gives the slightest shit at all ever, and I'm there full of passion and energy, and everyone's like, "Oh, all right,
yeah." I'll see. I have the opposite in my family. Mine, like, they're totally in it. Like, they get it. They get this, basically.
they get it. Yeah,
they get it. That's the best thing. They do get it. Right. Sorry, I totally derailed you from your list. Go on.
Oh no, it's fine. We can start the list wherever. But my number 3 pick, so going obviously in reverse order, is regarding Bran and being the three-eyed raven. This has cropped up before. I did say that I wanted to stay away from things that cropped up before, but I think this is just such an interesting theory because obviously, yes, with theories, things can be pulled apart and everything like that, but it does make sense and it obviously has other implications. And it's one of those sort of theories that isn't just completely tinfoil hat time, but it's also one of those ones where it both could and couldn't be, but there's so many different layers to it that could continue. I'm going to apologise in advance. I do have quite a iffy throat at the minute, so I will be clearing my throat all the time. But no, it's about Bran building the wall and around that sort of premise, because the original person that built the wall was Bran the Builder.
Yeah.
An ancient Stark, who helped the giants and the children of the forest and blah, blah, to build the wall after the White Walkers were first defeated 8,000 years ago, or whatever it is, the figure is. And the sort of theory is relating to Bran being the three-eyed raven. In the three-eyed raven is all-encompassing. And obviously in the show, we do see that he is able to influence the past.
Yes.
He is able to walk inside the minds of others and take control. And he's also able to speak for other people to hear him. He called out father to Ned. Ned heard something. We don't know what it was that Ned heard, but he heard something.
Yeah.
And that's where the sort of theory goes, because it starts originally with potentially Bran is the one that whispered in the ears of Aerys II that made him potentially go mad, because that is the event that kickstarts everything else, with Bran's grandfather and uncle being burned alive, Ned's older brother and dad. And it could be the case that Bran was trying to whisper to him about making sure that try and burn the White Walkers, and it just went wrong like it did with Hodor.
Oh, hold the door.
Hold the door. Hold that door. Which he did.
May you rest in peace, Hodor.
I know. Which he did valiantly till the end. But that's the sort of where the sort of theory goes. But when you go deeper into that sort of theory, it is the case that, well, maybe that was just an accident, that Bran wasn't still quite as good, but he goes even further back, makes sure the wall is built as it needs to be. But then on the flip side, it could be the fact that he's just making sure that things are right so that the events build up properly. And it just goes into so many weird layers. And this theory goes that Bran being the three-eyed raven is how the three-eyed raven was meant to be. And this will tie into my number one theory a little bit as well.
Oh,
by the way. But there's just so many different layers to it, that he helped set things in motion. That causes the whole loop of what happened first. I can't remember the name of that the specific thing. It's a paradox, but I can't remember what the name of the paradox is. But did Bran do it, or was it already there in the first place?
Right.
Did Bran mean to do these things, or was it just so that he could help things along to make sure that the course was the same going through it each time? But even the layers get even deeper, where he could be the Lord of Light. Because when it comes to the Lord of Light, people only hear whispers through the fire, and maybe visions and stuff like that as well. The three-eyed raven is more than powerful enough to do those sort of things. And even with failed prophecies for Melisandre and stuff, when you look at those things, her being advised wrongly by the Lord of Light still is important to the storyline of defeating the White Walkers.
Right.
Very minute little impacts, but things like that happen even with the Hound seeing the visions in the light, Beric Dondarrion not necessarily believing, but with Thoros of Myr guiding him along the way, keeping him alive, blah blah. The whole keeping of the alive thing is something that's very, very loose, but it's just a theory that, and this is why I put it on my number 3, because there's still things that you could see very much being the case of why it happened, and this theory actually being true. But it's just got so many different layers.
Yeah. It's so like a cake.
Exactly like a cake, but it just goes on and on and on and on. Before anybody says regarding, it could have stopped the children and from creating the White Walkers, blah, blah. Yes, he probably could have, but that could have had other serious implications.
You don't know it's time travel, so you don't know the knock-on effect of them not coming. Do their actions stop other things from taking place that need to happen? Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. And this is the whole sort of paradox.
My brain just went fuzzy there.
It's the whole paradox behind it, but also why I think that parts. I think that when you look online and look into this theory more, it goes off on massive amounts of tangents about the three-eyed raven is like someone that exists on a plane of all realities, and other realities have gone wrong. This one needs to be right, and I think that's a little bit far-fetched, completely. But as far as potentially causing the madness of Ares II,
I like that.
it could
like
be.
that.
You know, it could be.
But do you think that if that's the case then, because Cersei has a lot of, and this was one that was theorized as a theory, but not on my list, Cersei being the Mad Queen. Now, I think they were just referring to the fact that when I read this article, it potentially was just after Cersei like blew everyone up and turned into the Star Trek villain that she became. Because that outfit was amazing. But
it really was.
There is traits of Cersei that is very much Ares. With Ares, he killed Ned's brother and father in like always the worst way. He didn't just burn Ned's dad alive. He left a sword in the middle of the floor, just out of arm's reach, for his brother to free him. And his brother ended up choking himself trying to get this sword while his father stood in front of him burning to death. She did something very similar to the Sand Snakes, to Illyria Sand and one of the Sand Snakes.
That was such a good scene as well.
So intense. And she deserved it. And I'm not saying Cersei was a bitch. And a lot of things that Cersei she had coming. But she deserved that kill.
Yeah, but for Myrcella, yeah, big time. Big time.
Massively.
I was just going to say that the with that as well, is those similarities are the similarities everywhere that I can make with characters and how they are. You know, with Daenerys is turned into almost the Mad Queen, whatever you want to call that sort of descent. She was never cruel though, whereas Ares II was cruel, and that could just be more some sort of curse of the Iron Throne sort of thing. I mean, there's a curse of the Iron Throne anyway. Whoever cuts on it, whoever cuts themselves is deemed not worthy to sit on the throne, so that they will die.
Poor Viserys.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not classed as a great quick king, but
he was a great man. He was a great Targaryen.
He was. He was the king at the height of the Targaryen. That's the one I think everyone forgets about the shows. That's the height of Targaryen power.
Oh God, yeah.
Completely the height as well. But going back to my theory, just so I don't go off too far off topic, as we've gone into House of the Dragon.
We did it.
And a really interesting point as well for Bran whispering into Ares II's ear and almost making him go mad and all this sort of stuff, is one part that isn't sort of like mentioned quite a lot, which is the fact that if Ares didn't necessarily go mad, Robert's rebellion didn't happen, Daenerys would have been just a daughter of a king, and that was it, because she would have been the third born child as well. She wouldn't have really she wouldn't have been much at all. But then also the implication of that is she wouldn't have then had 3 dragons. She would never have been given those 3 dragon eggs.
That's true. However, those dragon eggs still would have existed.
They would have.
And it was Rhaegar's, taking of Lyanna Stark that really started Robert's rebellion. He was going to do that anyway, regardless of Ares' actions. Ares' actions is a reaction to Robert getting pissed off at his son.
But would Ned Stark have? I don't know, but obviously by the time that the Starks were burnt alive as well, Ares was already mad. Or going mad, at least.
No, he was. I think he was mad from the start.
Probably because he probably had that blood part of in the Targaryen bloodline. But if Ned's dad and uncle hadn't have done that, because obviously Ned's father would still have been Lord of Winterfell.
Yeah.
Would Ned's dad have gone, "Oh, Robert, you want to rebel against the Targaryens because someone?" No. I mean, yes, I know it's his daughter.
I get,
and this is where the fun of theories come from as well, because with those dragging eggs as well,
Mm-hmm.
There was a Targaryen blood sacrifice, and she was sat with them in the fire as they were born.
Yes.
Could they have been born
It's
any other way? Because they were dead eggs for,
they were
by this point, 100, 150 years.
Yeah, that is true. And they were born out of magic. So something that they don't really like talk about a lot in the show. On the beginning of the second series, you see a red comet go across the sky.
And that they were born under the red comet as well. The red
Yeah.
comet's never actually properly explained in the show
No.
at all.
No.
And
But it's a sign of magic. Magic is here. Magic is it's here.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bummer, but that's almost like the return of magic too. Because at this point, obviously, Westeros is just progressing as a society of no magic. Yes, you've still got all the faceless men and stuff like that, but that's that's in Bravos, and even the faceless men, they keep to themselves, as we then find out.
And let's be honest, they're just doing a leather face, like they're just slapping on someone else's face.
I think it's a bit of a
to
better leather face, if I'm honest, because they do look better.
I mean, Texas Chainsaw is one of my favorite films, but I do agree with that. But no, you're absolutely right. Westeros is just a society of normality. Even Tyrion himself, who was an incredibly smart man, says to Jon, do you think that these like snarks and orcs and stuff are going to come and get you in your sleep? And he's like mocking them for believing that the world was different before him, so
with that sort of comment slowly starting to approach, that's probably what potentially reawakened the White Walkers, because it's not just a case
Tyrion pissing them off.
Because with the red comet, obviously, yes, it does appear towards the end of first season, start of the second season, stuff like that. Anyway, it appears towards the end of first season. But that could have been coming for a long time. So it could have been it's coming that awakened the White Walkers, because we don't know when the White Walkers obviously reawakened anyway.
No, but we know that they are there on the first ever scene that you see of Game of Thrones.
It's just this theory goes into so many different things that then creates so many other theories.
Yeah.
I like them. That's why I put it on my list, because at the heart of it, it's a bit bland as a sort of theory, because it goes into tinfoil hat territory, but
it's quite complex.
It's very, very complex, and it's something that within the world of Game of Thrones as a whole, it is not actually too far-fetched with what we've seen literally in front of our eyes, with Bran going into the past and basically creating Hodor. Yes.
So it's whatever we're seeing is, and we are not complete experts. We are looking at what we are looking at, what we are reading. But it's you've just had it proven to you that Bran can manipulate time and can change the course of someone's actions. Exactly. He can do that. So how could anything else not be possible?
And that's the beauty of it, is that we have that sort of evidence, and it's almost how far down that rabbit hole do you want to kind of go? Like I said, yes, going into whole sort of like realities and the other realities have failed. This is sort of like a last hope. It doesn't want to be this. No, I think that's when it gets too far-fetched, because that goes into sci-fi, more fact. Yes. It goes into science fiction rather than it goes into fantasy. And I think that's where, for me, genres do need to stay sort of as they are when it comes to theories as well, because otherwise it gets too confusing, too convoluted, and it just ends up being boring. Yes, it is sort of interesting, but if we're sticking to a theory within the realm of Game of Thrones, from what we know and what we can see, that's what makes it good.
Yes, I agree. And that
also ties nicely into my next one.
Good.
Which is about Azor Ahai.
Okay, I love anything to do with Azor Ahai, so go for it.
So just to give a bit of background for those that don't know, Azor Ahai was like a mythical figure that helped to defeat the White Walkers time and time ago, obviously. He wielded a burning sword called Lightbringer, which he created by killing his lover, Nissa Nissa. Now,
He is the prince that was promised.
The prince that was promised, and there's been so many fan theories about literally every single character being Azor Ahai reborn. The biggest two candidates being Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen.
Born of ice and fire.
Born of ice and fire. With me more siding towards Jon Snow being Azor Ahai because he's literally
ice and fire.
And I think that mentioning previously from our Targaryen video is that I think that Brendan Rivers was originally if not the rebirth of Azor Ahai, the prince that's promised, because of all of his dealings, blah 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 blah, being three-eyed raven, etc. etc. But as far as we know currently from the show, blah blah, I think Jon Snow is the rebirth of Azor Ahai. However, that's not obviously this theory. This theory points towards Jaime being Azor Ahai.
I am listening.
I know. I chose this. When I saw it, I was like, this is not only interesting, I know someone.
I'm going to fucking love this.
So, obviously, the way that Azor Ahai was, there's like lots of different things that can point to it and stuff like that. The way that Azor Ahai created Lightbringer as well. This is where this theory was killed off by the end of season 8.
Okay.
But if the show was done a different way, my God, would this have been incredible? And I'm talking next level, sort of brilliant.
Okay,
basically,
I'm getting excited.
With a lot of the ways, like I said, because like when you think of in High Valyrian, the word for Lord and Light, so Azor Ahai comes from a lot of prophecies from the Lord of Light and the religion and all that sort of stuff. They're the Valyrian words for golden hand.
Jaime's hand.
Exactly. And when it comes to things like rebirth, Azor Ahai broke his sword when he was quenching it or tempering it in water. Jaime's rebirth from being the Kingslayer into Jaime happened in the baths with Brienne.
In the water.
In the water, and it's the whole "call me Jaime," because he used to wear the sort of Kingslayer thing almost with half pride.
Oh God, yeah, he loved it.
Exactly, but then he became obviously Jaime Lannister again, and that's where obviously is a change in the show for Jaime's character arc as well. Also, with and this is the thing, it's a deeper theory. It's not just a tinfoil hat. Oh, it could have been because of Golden Hand. When also Jaime Lannister, obviously, yes, he made an agreement with Tywin to go back to Casterly Rock if he let Tyrion survive. But obviously, we all know that never happened. Jaime was always a case of, I don't want Casterly Rock. Azor Ahai used his his sword, and plunged it through the heart of a lion. Jaime, in refusing to go back to Casterly Rock, basically puts a sword through the heart of the lion, being his dad, and House Lannister's sigil, obviously being the lion.
Fuck yeah!
Well. And where this could have made, just for unreal levels of the show, how Lightbringer, as I said at the start, how Lightbringer was created was Azor Ahai's lover, Nissa. He ends up having to kill her. As he pulls his sword out, bam, Lightbringer, flaming sword. Now, how good would it have been that obviously if Cersei told Jaime, you idiot, I'm not sending any armies up north, Jaime ends up killing her as he pulls his sword out. Lightbringer goes north to help with the fight with the White Walkers.
Oh my God.
How good would that have been as a storyline?
That would have been such a fucking trip, given the fact that Cersei's prophecy is that the Valonqar will murder her, being her younger brother.
She thinks it's Tyrion, but Jaime's actually the younger twin.
We always thought that it would be Jaime, and the I can't believe, like, Maggie's prophecy is big. It's big for Cersei. It's life.
There's a little thing on that actually creates another fan theory. Just on a little side note, just quickly about Cersei, about Maggie's prophecy and Cersei. That creates another theory, by the way, a little tiny fan theory.
Let's get our tin hats out.
So obviously, in Maggie's prophecy, it says she'll have 3 children with golden hair. Her husband will have 6 and 10 kids. Blah blah. Her kids will all wear gold crowns and all this.
Yep.
But obviously, at the very start of the show, we find out when she's talking to Catelyn that she actually had a child with Robert,
Yes.
a little black-haired beauty.
Yeah. That
Now,
scene's beautiful.
could that black-haired beauty have been Gendry? The baby, she never knew, but she said the baby had died. But Gendry's mum, the only thing that he remembers, which she was obviously very, very blonde as well.
And she just didn't want it because it was Robert.
Well, exactly. Lots of things could have happened. She didn't want to have Robert's kid. She gave it away, said it died, never heard of it again. Bam, here's Gendry. Could have been that. That's a tiny little fan theory that I just think is.
My mind's just blown right there. I'm not going to lie. Like, my mind's just went.
Yeah. And I love that little bit. Obviously, it's more than likely not, obviously, but it is a nice little tidbit sort of thing.
Do you know what? Just show aside, because I know that the D&D are not smart enough to come up with shit like this. But I really hope that George R. R. Martin is like, he's kind of thought about stuff like this.
He should, you know, if he hasn't, I'd be.
He's missed a trick.
He needs to watch the podcast because this is hot shit right now. This is hot shit. But
how are you, George?
Do you know what's even better about the Lightbringer being Jaime's sword if he becomes Azor Ahai Reborn? Think of the name of the sword that Jaime's sword was made from.
Ice.
The sword was called Ice, and the sword turns into fire.
Oh, how good is that? My God, that is fucking amazing.
How that is just, it is so good, isn't it?
I reside to the fact that Jaime Lannister is Azor Ahai. Like, he's still alive in the books, so it could be true.
And this, so in the book, like sort of book world, so I mean, yes, it could potentially become true. Again, I'm not a book reader. I want to read them, and I probably will for obviously the benefit of the podcast. Wow. It's going to take me a long time because I'm a very bad reader.
Well, I tried. I'm not going to lie. I tried. My challenge did not go according to plan. I'm currently reading The Exorcist. It's a shorter book.
I saw that. No, get back on Game of Thrones. How dare you?
Oh my God, it's lovely reading a book where everything is not described. Like this pen is just described as a pen. It's my Game of Thrones pen, by the way. It's when I had my car crash, the one thing I wanted to get out the car was my Game of Thrones pen.
Get me the pen.
There you go. Get my pen. But yeah, I've totally lost track of what I was saying. Anyways, Jaime, oh my God, because that would totally mesh that prophecy and Cersei's together.
Like just it is, and almost obviously, yeah. There's other parts of the prophecy and blah blah, but that is something that is just when you see it and you read about it and stuff like that. I mean, this should have been my number one. I'm thinking honestly, my number one pick now. Fucking, it's going to sound shit in comparison.
Everything's going to sound shit in comparison. That is just mind blowing. I've never ever looked at it that way before because Jaime's not that type. Like that's not what you get from Jaime. You're looking at Jaime from his, his redemption arc. You're not looking at
what kind of.
Oh my God, he could potentially.
What kind of redemption arc? Because he was being a hero. The time that he became the Kingslayer. He was he was being a hero and saving everybody, but got hated.
To me, he's a hero. He's always my hero. But to everyone else, he had to go through redemption.
But that's the thing, though. If you think about that redemption arc, it would have been the most perfect redemption arc because he's gone from being someone who tried to be a hero to save everybody and was hated for it, to taking on that sort of persona, being with Cersei, being a Lannister, and then taking the entire U-turn where his arc ends up being, I am Azor Ahai Reborn. I'm literally saving the world, and people will love me for it.
Gosh, how much would Stannis be spinning in his grave to know that it was Jaime Lannister?
Like massively, properly, as like he would have been. He would have been reborn in some sort of way out of just sheer spite and anger.
Oh, absolutely. Like you've got Stannis coming back on a horse, absolutely pissed right off. I don't know why I had to mention he was on a horse, but Stannis.
That ties in obviously to my number 3 about the whole Bran thing, is that if he is the Lord of Light and the Three-Eyed Raven is the Lord of Light and obviously can speak through to people, yes, it's integral that mistakes are made along the way and directed to certain people, because without Stannis' input, certain things
Oh, I am not
have
giving that man any
happened.
credit. I'm not giving that man any
You
credit.
will show him a little bit of respect because he was loved. I loved him up until obviously what happened with Shireen. He didn't do anything wrong up until Shireen. Tell me he did something wrong.
Fucking existed, man.
Yeah, fucking unbelievable. His wife, yes, she was always. His wife was always
she
a
was
bit of a cow.
evil. She was
always
evil.
Was. But Stannis wasn't. Stannis was all about honor and duty.
Do you know? I'll give it. Okay. All seriousness, I will give the fact that up until the point of what he did to Shireen, he actually had a lot of love for her. I just think with Stannis, he didn't understand how he was meant to feel about this little person. He doesn't get because of how angry and bitter he is over his parents' death. He doesn't understand what love is meant to be. He knows he feels something. He just doesn't understand what it is.
Same as until she dies, but also it's the same thing obviously as love from Robert and also from Renly, because Stannis was almost cast aside with what everything, being sent back to Dragonstone. I mean, he ended up having to feed his people on rats and dogs and stuff.
He very much has middle child syndrome.
Oh, big middle child energy, massively. But he felt like he had a duty and stuff like that. And in all fairness, after Robert died, with the kids being bastards, without obviously another revolt or rebellion or anything like that, Stannis was the rightful king. He was next in line.
It's absolutely true. And I would have, do you know what I would have loved to have seen? And I think this might have, I do joke when I talk about Stannis. I'm never going to forgive what he did to Shireen. However, and for me, it does cancel out a lot of who he was before that point. But I would have loved to have seen him in the small council doing his job. We never got to see that. We got to see Renly sitting there, but we never got to see Stannis. And it would have been lovely to see the three brothers sat at that table.
100%. And I agree with that. And I also feel sad that for Stannis as a character, if you go back and rewatch Game of Thrones, he's very much a case of he dips in and out of the main storyline so much and has his side storyline. He's never a main storyline character at realistically any point, because his own story is its own branch itself.
Yeah.
You've got the main storyline, and then you've got Stannis' storyline, and it just intertwines, a bit like how Daenerys does for the first 4 seasons. It just intertwines every now and again with the main storyline and just goes straight back afterwards. And that was Stannis' arc. And I think it is a bit of a miss one, because Stannis is a good character. He's something that we don't have from anybody else in the show. His character and the way that
not everyone's got it in them to kill kids.
I mean, I'm not being funny. Yes, they do. There's a lot more kid killing that goes on. I won't stand for this Stannis abuse.
Can you understand why I got kicked out of a Game of Thrones group over this?
Yes, I can.
I'll stop. Because
this is unbelievable.
I know, I'm terrible. He's a very complicated person.
Because of his upbringing, because of his brother, he is, and because of what happens that we actually don't get to see, is that case of that he is a very, very complex character.
Yeah, for all I'm sitting mocking him, I actually have his banner right behind us. You can't see it, but it is there. It's
the flaming, the flaming stag on a heart.
I have because I have a big it's like a tapestry. That's what it feels like, and it's the Clash of Kings.
Oh,
and
the
it's
Battle of the Five Kings.
Yeah, and it's all of their sigils in it. Yeah. It's lovely piece. You just can't see it.
I'm going to get that as a tattoo as well, just to show it and just piss you off every single time.
Just Stannis. And if you don't get Stannis the Manus written underneath it, I'm going to be bitterly disappointed.
Stannis. Yeah, I could do that. But when it comes back to the topic of Azor Ahai, as far as theories go, Stannis actually has pretty much the weakest claim to that prophecy almost out of any of the characters, and it is Melisandre as a driving force. Fuck Melisandre. Go back to the episode of characters that we didn't like.
Yeah.
Have we even done? I'm sure we've done that episode, haven't we? Characters that top 5 loved and hated characters. She was on my list for hated. Fuck Melisandre.
Fuck Melisandre.
Big time. But my last theory, again, that I love, it is is a bit of an open thing.
Ooh.
It's an open one. And it does
Okay.
actually tie in to both my theories now that I think about it. Because, wait, hang on a second. I don't think Azor Ahai's. I'm reading my notes, and I think I've messed up my notes somewhere because I don't know if Naya was Azor Ahai's partner or not.
Yeah,
That might have been someone else. I can't remember. Is his name? It's like
I think you're right.
I think so, but I'll come on to it because basically my number one is, like I said, it's an open one. I'll explain it a bit more because of the theory that I'm going. Who is the Night King?
Oh.
A very, very debatable topic because there are so many different avenues to it and there's so many different things. For instance, and I'll say just a little couple of a random one or a couple of little random ones. Daemon Targaryen as the Night King. Because, again, this is your tinfoil hat sort of thing, but this iteration of the Night King, so we've got to remember that the White Walkers have been around for thousands of years. We don't even know if the Night King is actually king of all of them. Does he have a superior? We don't know.
Does he have an heir?
Does he have an heir? Exactly. What were the babies for? We just don't have a clue.
Oh, I'm so bad.
But as far as this iteration goes, Daemon's a contender because you've got the whole being fireproof.
Mm.
The rest of the other whites are not fireproof, but the Night King is.
Yeah, he's very special.
And exactly, Daemon's. I mean, this is a bit of a spoiler, but you know, if you've read the books, you know anyway. For anyone watching House of the Dragon, everybody dies at some point. Daemon's body was never found when he died.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, I'm not going to class that as a spoiler because
well, they all die. Come on,
it's a prequel. Like it's a prequel set like 150 years before, or 200 years before Game of Thrones. He's dead by our time.
He's dead. And do you know what? I think I've already said this once before. You could actually hear the whole House of the Dragon storyline by Joffrey himself.
Talking to Marjorie. Yeah, exactly. Massively. But Daemon's body was never found. It could have been the fact that he was taken north to try and be saved, the children of the forest, because where Daemon died, that island sort of bit is near the Eye of the Gods, I think, which is where most of the children of the forest were originally from. Could they have found him, saved him? Could the children of the forest be sneaky little bastards and actually be on the side of the White Walkers? And Leaf and the last other two, I think it was, that were with Leaf, they were just stragglers that were just like, actually, no, we don't like the White Walkers, you pricks. We're out. We're going to go to the other side. Because it could have been that way, you know? Not only that, if you look at these spirals that the White Walkers create as well, it is very reminiscent of the Targaryen sigil.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Also, his dragon riding abilities.
And they give I actually really like that. It was always one of those things because this character is with us for a very long time, and we see him doing some shifty fucking things with babies, and all the time you're like, who the fuck is he? Yeah. And we think that scene with Bran and him, that's the conclusion. We're gonna find out right in that moment who the fuck this motherfucker is, and we don't. And for me, yes, as an invested fan, I want more from him.
Oh my God!
I want to know more from him.
This is how my theory goes even deeper, because that's not actually my number one theory pick. That's just what can be considered it for the Night King,
right?
Because again, this iteration that we have, and going more, because it's a very difficult sort of theory. The way that I've worded it and the way that I've come up with it as being my sort of theory, and my favorite, tying in with my favorite sort of theory on this theory. I've worded it really badly. I'm terrible with words. My pick is, and I'll get into the other bit afterwards. My pick, anyway, is for this theory on who the Night King is the 13th Lord Commander.
Okay,
he took on the name of Night King. He was.
Oh well, he
literally did. Like literally did. Like I said, the 13th Lord Commander, I believe he was. He also resided in the biggest fort on the wall, which I can't remember. I think it's called the Knight's Fort. I can't quite remember. Can't quite
I
remember.
can just, honestly, every time I think of the wall, I go think Eastwatch by the Sea.
Eastwatch by the Sea, yeah, exactly. Eastwatch by the Sea, and that's like it, even though it doesn't like exist anymore. But he actually took a White Walker for a wife. Could it have been the fact that they had babies, and that's how you get the White Walkers and not just whites, because obviously whites are just reanimated corpses? Is that how the White Walkers originally were? And the theory is that the 13th Lord Commander, I'm pretty sure he doesn't have a name, but the theory is that the king in the north at the time was Bran the Breaker, another Bran Stark. But he was Bran the Breaker, and he was king of the north, because that's how it was. Because at this point, it was still divided into different kingdoms with different kings.
Mm-hmm.
He was the king, and it's believed that he was his brother, because then the king, after the wall, whatever they want to call it, beyond the wall, that's the word I was looking for, king beyond the wall, those two actually joined forces to overthrow the 13th Lord Commander. Because obviously he was very much in tandem with just doing absolute fuckery.
Well, he sounds like a barrel of laughs, to be honest. I mean,
absolute barrel of laughs, massive.
Who in their right mind takes a White Walker as their wife?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is it's what's written actually, as far as the lore of Game of Thrones and Westeros and all sort of stuff goes. But the King Beyond the Wall and also King Bran the Breaker joined forces to come together to overthrow the 13th Lord Commander. Now, the sort of theory is that the reason why the White Walker, because the White Walkers were then basically banished to the Forever Winterland, or whatever it's called, the Forever.
Oh, for the land of winter.
The land of winter, yeah. They were banished there. And everyone wanted to kill them. Well, the theory is that because it was Bran's brother, he was like, "I'm not killing him. He's my brother."
Oh, it's not. It's for the land of always winter. Sorry,
always winter. That's it. But that's my brother. I can't kill him, but I can banish him. But they also took his wife, and she's supposedly in the crypts of Winterfell.
Oh.
There's actually a section of the crypts at Winterfell that is blockaded. Fallen in, blockaded. And obviously the Night King, the Night King has to march, going wherever he wants to, but obviously the theory is obviously that he's going to Winterfell to reclaim to get his wife back, to get his partner back. He's too pissed off now. He's been waiting too long. He's been sleeping too long. Whatever he's been doing, he's like, no, fuck this. Fuck the people. I'm not living in exile anymore. I also want my wife back. Yes, it is a bit of a loose theory and stuff like that, because there probably should have been more. But it's a nice sort of, and I like the sort of theory because it gives the Night King something.
It gives us something.
It gives us something, and this is where these sort of theories come from. And from what I've read, this is more, as far as theories go, the theory that sticks the most in the approach. Now, my theory on that theory with it is that the Night King is... Well, I saw another theory that actually the Night King was originally a three-eyed raven.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah, because he can interact with Bran when Bran's obviously walking and stuff. He knows straight away, but he didn't quite have the rest of the abilities that Bran had because it didn't go right. He wasn't as he was meant to be. That's why they obviously tried to defeat him and stuff. And that's, when they tried turning him, they tried to create like an ultimate three-eyed raven, but they just failed.
The three-eyed raven 2.0.
2.0. But that sort of then theory following on from that is the fact that when the Children of the Forest originally created the White Walkers, they were actually trying to create the three-eyed raven. But it went, like I said, it went wrong.
These are just like failed attempts until they eventually get it right. I really love them. I really love the theories on the Night King, because what we got was just an absolute disappointing reveal of absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. you invested so much in this character. Like,
Yeah.
who is he? Where does he come from? Like, what does he want, essentially? Like,
And that's
what
what
is
ties
he
into
after?
to my little bit of what he wants, obviously, with it being his wife. But like going back to the whole Damon thing as well. I don't think it's Damon, but with him potentially being a warg or a failed attempt at the Children of the Forest creating a three-eyed raven to battle the men, it was just a complete accident that the White Walkers were created. But could it be the fact that if he is a warg, is he being utilized as more of a general? If you see wargs that are in the wildling army, they're utilized properly. They're not head of the army, they're utilized because of their abilities. And obviously, if he's a failed three-eyed raven, he's trying to get to Bran to get all the rest of the powers that he never had, because obviously he could do so much more with it. Could it be the case that they have different reiterations of even if he is the Night King and he is the be-all end-all, could there be different reiterations down the line of him when obviously something happens to him? Another one is born in his place. Whatever it is, I don't know, but I think
I'm never gonna know.
I think that with the Snow show, we could potentially find out, because Jon Snow has killed the love of his life. Has he actually just created Lightbringer? Is he now Azor Ahai? He's just gone beyond the wall.
I've just read a lot of theories today, and one of them was that Jon becomes the Night King.
Yeah, I've seen that theory.
No, I'm not sure with these articles, and this is why I found my list to be incredibly difficult with where they've fallen on where the show is.
Yeah, so that's the tricky part.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I heard a lot that Jon would become the Night King. But I've also heard that, and I actually resided to this one for a long time, that Bran himself was not Bran the Builder, or he was the Night King. And for some twist of time travel and fate, they stood in front of each other, and it was the only way that he was be able to, make contact with him, touch him, physically touch him, because he was physically touching himself.
Probably don't say that again.
Eh?
As he was physically touching himself.
I know, I've got a tendency for saying shit I shouldn't.
Bran the pervert.
Bran the perv.
I've just thought, as you've been saying that, I've literally just thought, you'll see my face if you watch it back.
I did. I was like, oh my god, this can't be that good.
Do you know how you just said about Jon Snow becoming the Night King or everything like that? The 13th Commander took a White Walker as his wife. What if he finds a way to bring Ygritte back? Or even if Dany comes back?
I don't think he's bothered about Dany. I think he'll want Ygritte back. Like, you look at it this way: who's going to be more happy to see him when they come back? Because it ain't going to be Dany. That's for fucking sure.
Well, she could if she's not mad anymore, because she'd be like a half brain dead White Walker.
But do you know what, though? The way that you spoke about the White Walkers is almost like they've got some form of and they don't come across as brain dead by any stretch, but you do understand that they are dead. It's almost like they have a character to them.
The White Walkers are they're just beings made of, well, at this point, ice, pretty much. But they're magical ice.
Well, of course, it's at the wall. The wall is so full of magic.
Exactly. They're made. Well, they're pretty much the same thing, apart from the wall isn't really sentient.
Again, another thing they didn't talk about in the show enough was how fucking powerful that wall actually was, and what it meant that dragon was able to take that wall down.
Yeah. It was. There's just so much points that were just. They could have done so much more with. The Night King, for me, I think that with the making of the Snow show, I think personally, it really, really needs to, not even a case of going back and redacting things from Game of Thrones and stuff like that, but just expanding on it and touching on points that we haven't got. I really do believe, I would really like them going in the direction of, something I'll be satisfied with, is that if Jon Snow has now killed his love and has created Lightbringer in some way, that he is now Azor Ahai without even realizing, and comes across Always Winter. The White Walkers are actually not defeated properly. that iteration of potentially the Night King or that part of their army, and there's just something else. And he is now Azor Ahai, and we learn more about the history of, because we don't get any history in the show wise, no history from Children of the Forest first creating them.
No.
Up until the point of them, there's literally nothing explained apart from, oh yes, there's not been a White Walker. Oh, three blasts on the horns for White Walkers. Let's read that in a book.
This is what this. I love this show. It is one of my top shows of all time. But they didn't have just fucking go. They didn't go into detail over things. I'm like, because I'm so invested. And I know I can go and read the books, and I have the book of the First Men, these first art book he brought out that has this story of the history of Westeros, and of the First Men and the Andals, and I have that book and I can read it if I want to. But again, I'm a shit reader, so I could do this myself. But you've put a TV show out for me. Like, not for me, but for people like me. Just for me. Well, that's how it felt sometimes. And you're giving us half-assed storytelling.
It was a real shame towards it. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Sorry, season 8 obviously should have been better. The problem that they had is that they spent, because this was for me a problem way back when, because you had George R. R. Martin who was bringing his baby to life. He wants it done right. The first 3 seasons could have been 1.5 seasons. They spent too long at the start. Yes, don't get me wrong, it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was,
because it was something else. But if you're gonna tell a story with the books that way, you have to make Game of Thrones 10 to 15 seasons long.
Yeah, you got to span the shit out.
Follow suit, and they couldn't. They literally could not do that, and they also ran out of source material because George R. R. Martin is notorious for just not fucking bothering.
Do you know what? I always defended him with these books, and I'm like, listen, you'll fucking do it when he does it. But then he goes and brings out fucking the House of the Dragon art book that has a shit ton of stories in it. Ice and Fire, like bloody, what do you call it?
Winds of Winter and all that sort of shit.
Fire and Blood, like, finish your Winds of Winter for them people, so then I can know what's going on.
Exactly, and that's the sort of issue, because the show is at this point so different to the books. Even the characters that have been killed off at other points, people that are still alive that aren't alive, vice versa, everything like that. It's just so frustrating because, and again, I think that is not, if you're going to look at it in that case of, oh, it was too rushed towards the end, you have to look at it at the opposite side of the why it was rushed. It was because it was too slow to begin with, that they took 10 episodes to get, if you look at the grand scheme of things, they took 10 episodes to get absolutely fucking nowhere.
I mean, they killed Ned.
They killed Ned, they killed Khal Drogo, they killed Robert. They've just spent a whole... Yes, it was world building and stuff like that. I get it. But then the next couple of seasons, like Dany's storyline, fuck me. It just dragged on and on and on. Like, how many fucking different places can she go and save slaves? Like, Jesus Christ.
We get it. We got it the first time. She's the breaker of chains. She doesn't have to keep going breaking them chains. Get her off her fucking hands. Get her on her fucking dragons.
Chain. Yeah, exactly. Like, yes, I know. Oh, you have to wait for the dragons to get bigger and stuff. But you could have lied and just said, "Oh yeah, dragons fully grown now. It's been 2 years." Happy fucking days.
Yeah, it's fantasy. We're not going to fucking question it.
Yeah, no one's going to go, oh, actually, no, I wanted to see the slow progression of how a dragon naturally went through puberty and adolescence. No, nobody cares.
I'm not here for that. I want to see them. I said it throughout the whole series. Get off your fucking hands and get on. You have the resources to get your boats. You could quite easily go in there and take that motherfucker.
Yeah. It literally so easy. And there's so many things, and I think that's what led to the rushed season 8 that we had. But and again, for me personally, if you actually rewatch season 8 a couple of times over, you work out that everything, even Bran ended up on the throne. It makes fucking sense because all the other options are dog shit.
Yes. Well, this was George R. R. Martin's proposal when he sat down with the two dickheads, and he said, I will quite happily help and hand this over, but there's a few things that you've got to do. You've got to tell me who Jon Snow's mum is. And you also have Bran has to have the throne at the end. That's how he intends on finishing his book. How he gets there could be a whole different fucking story, and probably will be a whole different fucking story. And actually, after the reaction of what happened in the show, he may change his mind.
Probably, because if I'm being brutally honest, considering that D&D are not fantasy writers,
they are not writers.
Exactly, they're not writers, but looking actually at it and obviously employing other people and saying, right, we need this to happen. They've actually not done a bad job. To be fair, if you actually look at it, it's not actually a bad job.
No, it's not.
It's comparisons that make it bad.
Yes, it's the fact that we're looking at these seasons that have the source material backed into them, and they've got that to rely on. And then when they're going on their own work it's weak. It's really, really weak.
Yeah.
But we got what we got. We did
indeed. And with what we had throughout those 8 seasons, which again I loved.
Mm-hmm. Do you know? Yes, I must reiterate for everybody that we may sit and bitch and moan a bit. We still fucking love this.
Oh, we absolutely love it.
We are fucking living for this.
I'm my Nerdy Up North Game of Thrones top.
Look at him represent.
One of one as well.
One of one. Well, I've totally gone off, not off brand for me, but for the show. I have Haddonfield 78 Halloween. I have my Halloween t-shirt on, so and a pumpkin cardigan.
Because that's what you do in March.
Exactly, spooky bitch right here.
But say again, without what we got and what we ended up with, there still wouldn't have been theories.
No, exactly.
And that's the beautiful thing of it. No matter what, and as a true lover of the show, same as I am with Doctor Who, I don't care who flies the TARDIS. I'm in it for the long haul. Yeah,
I totally get that. I'm a bit of a fake Whovian. Matt Smith will always be my doctor, and I can't watch anyone else but him. But this show is everything. This kind of like, I knew I loved fantasy because of Lord of the Rings. I didn't realize how much I was into world building and fantasy until I saw this.
Literally, me neither. I genuinely didn't watch until the 4th season had completely come out. I ignored it. I didn't want to. Everyone was talking about Game of Thrones this, Game of Thrones that. I literally was just like, I don't care. I don't want to hear it.
I don't give a shit.
And I am so sad.
No,
that I didn't get to watch some of the things at the time.
Don't be happy with your story. I love my story of how I got into Game of Thrones. Be happy with yours. I always loved throughout Game of Thrones and watching it, the theories that came out of it, because that's the conversations that I loved having with my husband when we learned the Jon Snow one, the R plus L equal J. Holy shit, like I've just had that moment again with the Jaime theory.
Yeah.
Because I like, my heart is racing, like I want to go and fucking spill this to my husband, who will not give 2 shits, but he will still listen to us.
And all that sort of stuff. Yeah, exactly. And I get that as well, because when R plus L, but for everyone that doesn't know, I don't know if you mentioned it at the end of the podcast last time.
I think we did, but we said we weren't gonna use it as a pick because it was like the biggest one that actually came true.
It was so, even if it didn't come true, it was
huge.
Huge. So huge. Everywhere you looked when it came to Game of Thrones was about R plus L equals J. And the fact that this was all done completely randomly, it's mind-blowing the way
it's just somebody, that clever being, whoever they are, just pieced it all together. And then as soon as it said it, just like, oh, fuck yeah, that makes sense. And then it leads into, and also he's a fucking prince that was promised. He's Azor Ahai because he's made of ice and fire. Like that led into that as well, even though that's not been proven. But it leads it helps that theory.
This is the thing, is his dad was meant to be the prince that was promised originally.
It's almost like a thing where it's like, no, you're the prince that was promised. No, you're the prince that was promised. Like, I'm Spartacus.
I mean, like, even like Arya has come up as the prince that was promised.
Oh no, I don't know.
That theory is when it comes to tinfoil hats sort of stuff. But yeah, I should have put that Jamie one at number one, shouldn't I? Really?
Honestly, like my heart, like I'm not joking. I don't know what happened with my heart. It was almost like it sank back into my back.
Can you
And
imagine? Can you imagine, right? If this was, because when did they take the White down into? It was the end of season 7, wasn't it?
When they showed it to Cersei. No, it was in
Yes.
season 8. It's when
Was it the
she.
start? I'm pretty sure it's the end of season 7, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know.
End
Had
of
she
season
killed...
7, start of season 8, whichever it is. Can you imagine if we did this and this theory was out at that sort of time? Everyone would be loot. As soon as this theory, because it would have hit the internet, people would have lost their shit.
I would have been more angry with the end of season 8 and how Cersei died that didn't happen. So I'm glad I know it now, as
But it would
opposed
have
to
made it
then.
even worse because you're just like,
Honestly,
because that theory for me is something that would have been the most ultimate character arc. You would have got a good death for a good villain. You would have got an answer to Azor.
Satisfying.
You would have got a good answer to Azor Ahai as well, because you can't argue that the prince that was promised, Jaime Lannister, cool, I'm all right with that. Yeah. But also an actual good fight with the Night's King, because before the fight happened in season 8, because this was the problem that me and Sam had when it came to looking up these fan theories. Just before we get onto your three, is the case that a lot of them that you look at were a case of in anticipation for the next season.
Mm-hmm.
And then they literally, as soon as the next season happened, whether or not the next season was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8, the theory falls apart completely. And Massively. There's no real point in talking about them because they've already been dispelled to mammoth proportions.
Yeah. That is exactly the difficulty that I've had. But I just thought, okay, then fine, then just go and find something that you think is so fucking interesting. And it wasn't, because it didn't pan out. The theory just becomes wah, wah. But the one I keep popping up on my phone. Am I okay to start my top 3?
Oh no, yeah. But
I need to get this fucking out the way.
Honestly, go for it.
Right.
I've been looking forward to this all week.
Okay, so about the one my top one, I don't feel, after I've actually read it hundreds of times on the internet today. So the likelihood is you probably have heard it. I love it, and I still hold to it. But my third one, which was tickling my funny bone really badly. Varys was a mermaid.
I've seen that one.
Sam, every time I look at it, I just can't, because it's got a picture of him like, what? Apparently
tinfoil hat time majorly, but in a funny way as well.
Massively. They have nothing to back this theory up, just that it could be true because he was a man of secrets. There's giants, there's dragons. Why could we not have a mermaid? A mer eunuch.
It's like the only sort of like, not even like solid bit of evidence, but it's just the case of the thing that backs up the theory in any sort of shape or way is the fact of how quickly Varys travels to places, and that's it. That is literally all the theory relies on. Because we even then see obviously Varys when after the ships get destroyed. And he can't say, but he's covering up for being a mermaid. And it is as stupid.
The minute I saw that. I remember
hearing about it.
I've never heard it.
I remember hearing about it a long time ago. And then when I was doing my research on Tuesday, and I read it and I was like, oh, fuck, I'm in stupid part of YouTube now. And fucking Varys being, I was like, not this shit again. Not this shit again.
I have not heard anything along those lines, but that actually tickled my funny bone. And every time it kept popping up on my screen, I just burst out laughing. Who the fuck came up with that theory? There is absolutely no evidence to back this up. He is a fucking slippery snake, then he is a mermaid.
And that's literally the only sort of thing. He fast travels and he's slippery, so he must.
I'm sorry, I had to put that in my top. My number 2 pick. Now I love this one, and I think I mentioned it maybe last week, about Syrio Harel, and not the fact that he's dead. More to do with the fact that, in actual fact, Jaqen H'ghar is Syrio Forel.
This ties into a wider theory. I don't know if you know that actually ties into a wider theory.
No, let me hear.
Oh, okay. So that theory being like Jaqen H'ghar is actually Syrio Forel because he's been eyeing up Arya, all this sort of stuff, actually ties into a theory and is expanded upon in the fact that Peter Baelish isn't Peter Baelish anymore. He actually died at the tourney where he was wounded, and Littlefinger is actually a faceless man. And he's been these people guiding certain things and working and being a puppeteer as a faceless man. Because obviously Jaqen H'ghar was captured. How do you capture a faceless man? You don't. They get
He wanted to be captured.
A reason.
Yeah.
What other reason would he have? Because he becomes a Lannister soldier, and after he escapes, after he gets Arya and the other ones out, he disappears. He goes back to Braavos. What other reason was he there? Like this, and that's an expanded theory. But I like this. I like your theory more because the Littlefinger being a faceless man is got quite a few holes in it. But Jaqen H'ghar being Syrio Forel,
I think there's a reach when it comes to Peter Baelish being a faceless man. I think you're giving that man way too much credit than what he deserves.
Well, Littlefinger. Peter Baelish is dead in that theory.
Yes, that's true.
Because his great grandfather was from Braavos.
Oh, stop. My head is hurting at the moment. I'm still trying to have everything sink in for Jaime. But no, I love the idea that he is, because for me it kind of makes sense. So Syrio Forel is there for Arya straight away. And it's all, what do we say to the god of death today? Not today. And he's very much of, I don't know, there's just something about him that kind of does remind us of Jaqen H'ghar. But as soon as Arya is out and with him, Yoren, is it Yoren, the Night's Watch guy who takes... Yoren, takes her. He is there, instantly there. And he is with her in Harrenhal, which if you read, I have read book 2, and Arya's time in Harrenhal is awful.
Yeah,
is much worse than what we see. So when you it would have been lovely to actually see that side of what happened to Arya and Harrenhal, because it makes the connection between her and Tywin much more better.
Yeah, I think what
I don't know if that was the right English, but much a lot more personal.
Yes, and there's more emotional sort of thing, because yes, what we get in the show between Arya and Tywin is actually fantastic, because Tywin is almost like a father figure almost to her.
Almost human.
Yeah, exactly. He's I'd say he is very, very human with her. But the rest of because Harrenhal at this point, as it has been since Aegon's conquest, is just a ruin, and it's basically like a little Tywin's like little outpost, or a Lannister outpost. And it is very much a case of it's a place to take people and it's
a torturous, horrible place. She gets mistreated something badly. Obviously, I don't think Tywin clicks that she is a girl like he did in the show until a bit later on. But when he sees her and he's like, "That's a girl, stupid." Love it. I love their two relationship. That's totally going off track with Jaqen H'ghar and Syrio Forel. I really like that, the fact that it's all to do with Arya. Is there for Arya. It's all to get Arya to Braavos to start her training.
It's a kind of because it's the sort of thing where it falls apart a little bit is obviously when the Hound then picks her up a little bit, because then obviously there is no sort of input of a faceless man.
Do you not think he trusts the fact that she's going to come to him? She has the coin. She knows the words. He's got to trust now that she will, whenever she does, makes the right decision to hand that coin over and say, Vala Morghulis.
Vala Morghulis. And that's the sort of part. That's the sort of part that is more concrete, where these sort of theories where you are giving backwards and forwards and answering those sort of questions, because that's where they've become a lot more solidified. And I do really like that one, because with the face, like we said, with the Faceless Men, he was clearly at Harrow. He clearly got captured for some reason. He was in Lannister's. It was in the dungeons of King's Landing. But as we see how the Faceless Men operate, when they're obviously when he gave Arya a task, is very methodical. It's well thought out. They don't do anything without prior months of planning.
It's not an accident that he's there.
And this is the thing. He immediately, because I actually saw, again, going back with the whole Peter Bear's little finger Faceless Man theory, because this is where it ties in as well, is that whenever he sees Arya, he knows instantly. Instantly knows.
He knows exactly who she is the second he clocks her.
It's a good kind of grooming, shall we say? Maybe
not.
He's trying to turn her into a murderer, but
with someone else's face though, so it's fine. It's not her face.
Yeah,
it's not her look. It was one thing that we were so looking forward to, me and Anth, was the fact that she was getting on that boat, she was going to Bravo, she was going to start her training. It was just really fucking bad. They did not flesh out what they could have when she went to
it was nothing, because with that season, with the season build-up, I remember it quite well. Everything was about the Hall of Faces. Every single promotional poster reverted around the Hall of Faces. And again, what we got was, I think a good premise.
Absolutely.
Take one life, all this to get a life, all this sort of stuff. It was a good premise, but the execution, like, are you going blind? I thought was a very good thing with her.
Well, yeah, we knew that she was. We knew she was going to go blind. We just wanted to see the training. How do you train a person to become a faceless, like one of these faceless warriors? And we wanted to see that.
Jaqen's character, I think, as well, went from being the most mysterious, cool character, just being fucking boring.
I was just going to say the same thing. Oh. My God, Jaqen, get a fucking sense of humor.
Toward the last time Jaqen ever appears,
that we know is
brilliant, but doesn't redeem.
No. But it's that we know of, because we don't know if he is. Like, he could be lurking anywhere.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Oh, you went.
Did I go? You went. You went to me as well.
Oh, we both went at the same time.
I wonder if that's been caught on camera.
Oh, who cares? We're back, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was my second theory. Now this is my third one.
I like it
too.
I like Syrio Forel. Who doesn't love Syrio Forel?
I just want Syrio Forel to be alive and well, and because we never saw him die on screen, he's not really dead.
We didn't see Ramsay die on screen.
We heard it. We heard enough. We heard enough.
That satisfies the is he dead or not? We heard it. Fine.
We heard it. We did. Do you know what? We didn't need to see it. We just needed to hear it. So my third one. I absolutely adore this theory. My mother absolutely loves this theory.
I've been waiting for this for an entire.
Oh, you are. Do you know what? And I'm really sorry if I disappoint you, because, like I say, I have read this theory hundreds of times this afternoon. So with Daenerys and Jon, Jon's heritage being confirmed, he is a Targaryen. Daenerys, we all know that she's a Targaryen. Now, the thing with Targaryens is that there is, especially with Aegon the Conqueror and his two sister wives, there is 3 heads of the dragon. Jon being one, Daenerys being the other.
I think I know where this is going.
Yes, the third one. So there's been many, many theories, some of them that I have laughed my arse off at, but the one that I really like the most is Tyrion Lannister.
Yes, I know exactly where you're going.
It's Tyrion Lannister.
It nearly made my list.
And this is one of my favorite theories of all time, because I still reside to the fact that this is true. Yeah. So Tywin always said to Tyrion that he made the point, you are my son. He always made the point that you are my son. There is a lot of, there in the time of Aerys and Tywin being handed the king, it is well known that Aerys was obsessed with Joanna Lannister. obsessed to the point of where she had to leave in the end, just before she gave birth to Tyrion, which killed her. The theory is that Aerys got his way with Joanna.
I nearly mentioned this, and I nearly mentioned this when we were talking about the R plus L equals J. I nearly said there is another letter plus letter equals.
Yes, and this is, and like I say, it's probably like after reading today, because I love this theory so much that the three heads of the dragon is Jon, Daenerys, and Tyrion, and the fact that it's Tywin's relationship with the Tyrion looks like a Lannister because of his mother. That's his mother. That's not Tywin. That's his mother. And it's the same with the twins. They are their mother. No, the resemblance-wise, not a lot of Tywin running through them. Maybe just the fact of blonde hair. But resemblance-wise, it was always Joanna. They said that Cersei was as beautiful as Joanna was. That we thought Jaime was as beautiful as Joanna was. And obviously the fact that the incestual genes that runs through Aerys, therefore runs through Tyrion as well, which changes obviously the fact that Tyrion is a lot smaller than his twin brother and sister. But this theory came out, I think I heard it just after I heard, so about 2015. That I heard it, and it is like one of my favorite theories. I love.
I thought it would as soon as I was thinking to myself, I could mention it. But I was like, I guarantee it's got something in relation to Tyrion, so I don't want to ruin it.
If you had, I've got a very good poker face, but I probably hyped this up more than what it needed to be. But bearing in mind, I haven't gone out of my way recently to look at fan theories. It's only been because of what we're doing right now, like today's episode, that I was like, oh, I'm going to have a look. I'm going to see what's about. And it's the first fucking one that kept coming up on the list. And I was like, God damn it. But my mom loves this.
This was a big, big theory. The reason why it came up quite a lot, because this was actually a big theory towards, I think it was when season 7 was coming out. And because of how Tyrion interacted with the dragons beforehand and everything like that, and it was actually a big theory that this could be the big reveal for the next season, because we always have some sort of big reveal for the season. And this one was obviously a big theory, and everyone loved it because obviously at the time there was 3 dragons.
Yeah.
Now, the sort of thing with that is that when it being 3 dragon riders and stuff like that, it would have made for something really, really good, in my opinion. But
3 dragon riders, come on, man.
I think that where it was, I don't think they could have done it, because it is one of the, like, arguably it is, out of all the theories that we've mentioned here, and all the other theories that are actually out there, this is one of the most solidified theories of potential. Ones that we don't know the outcome of. Obviously, like with Jon Snow's heritage, we know that that's now true.
It's true.
As spoiler. As far as ones that aren't confirmed or denied, obviously, this is by far the most solidified theory, because it's written as far as Aerys II being madly obsessed with Joanna Lannister. Coincidentally, Joanna's actually the first cousin of Tywin Lannister. So
there's a relation there. So when I say obsessed, it was ridiculously obsessed, and he fucking hated Tywin.
He used to piss Tywin. He made Jaime Kingsguard so that to spite Tywin, not for any other reason, but just to spite Tywin.
He always promised that Cersei would marry Rhaegar, and then changed it at the last minute because, again, he fucking hates Tywin. So to do this to his wife, I think is completely plausible. What if he is that obsessed, and he is a king, and he is as mad as a fucking hatter? He is going to take advantage where he can. And this is why she got up and left, and she gave birth, and unfortunately Joanna Lannister died.
And Tywin doesn't quite know.
But that's why he always made the point, you are my son, not his.
Because it was the only thing that potentially Aerys actually had on him. He used to give him this shit, but no, this is my son. You are my child until the very end of a case of, son of mine. You're just like your real daddy. But I think
just imagine that moment, just before that crossbow goes into his chest, he actually reveals, "You are not my son," but just leaves it at that. Doesn't give any indication on what he means by that, because Tyrion's not going to take it as, he's just going to take it like, oh, well, I'm killing him, I'm not his son anymore.
Yeah, 100%.
But to us, are we going to think he makes such a point of saying, "You are my son"?
I think that this is where I think there's a potential of, this is something that could have been done. However, with Jon being a secret Targaryen, it would have meant we would have had 2 secret Targaryens. So because this happens obviously later on as well, the Jon thing, that reveal might have been a little bit dulled, because it was the case of, another fucking secret Targaryen. Where's the rest of them?
Yeah. I think hardcore fans like us who want to see, and not all Targaryens have to be dragon riders. We learned that from House of the Dragon. They don't all have to be dragon riders. They have some form of connection
as well. So it would have still been different. He would have been a bastard.
Yes, he would have, but still a Targaryen. Technically,
he would have been similar to the likes of like Brynden Rivers.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. I'm
or
learning
even
so
someone
much.
like, I don't know, Gendry.
Yes. That's God. Yes. Wow. Okay. I really
wouldn't
do.
Have even been a Lannister.
Honestly, my brain is just fucking on fire at the moment. But that is one of my favorite, if not favorite of theories, because I do think it's completely and utterly doable. But I do understand where you're coming from with the fact that if we got Jon's reveal, then that reveal, it's like, are we going to get another reveal? Like, is there another one kicking about?
It could have, you know what? It could have actually been, there's so many different directions that could have gone with it, because obviously with the whole thinking of Brynden Rivers fought against his own half siblings in the Blackfyres Rebellion.
I've been reading about this guy, by the way.
He's so good. He's
so by far interesting.
The most interesting character ever. Hands down ever. But with that, you could have had an almost opposite. Can you imagine if all along Tyrion actually, because Tyrion's very rare, he reads a lot. If Tyrion found out that he wasn't, he actually found something, a bit like how Sam found in the Citadel. If Tyrion found out, and towards the end of season 8, you just got a case of that he turned to Varys or something like that, like just a completely random conversation, even if it went nowhere.
Yeah, just something, just a hint of it.
I'm not even a Lannister. Yeah, I'm just this case of, I'm not even a Lannister. My last name is whatever, however it could have been. But also, you can go down another twist of, if they kept Dany alive, you could have then had Tyrion doing a reverse of Brynden Rivers. The same as Brynden Rivers, and joining his true blood half brother.
Yes.
And there could have been like another whole different sort of revolt and rebellion of Daenerys versus Jon Snow, and it could have gone so many different ways. And
that is so fucking cool. But what we got was Daenerys dead, Jon's gone to the wall, and Tyrion is back to work again.
Had to happen.
Yeah.
Rewatching that, I paid particular attention to the last part of the seasons, and I think that Bran knows Jon, even though he is true born, and Jon doesn't necessarily want it, but again, honor-wise, he would have.
Yeah, because he's still got, regardless that he knows his true heritage, he's been raised by Ned Stark.
He didn't want King of the North, but was given that. He didn't want Lord Commander, but was given that. But Bran knows Jon isn't ready. In any case, anyway, it would have gone even worse. That's why he's been sent to the wall to do some more shit instead. And I think
just stay there, Jon.
Just stay there. There's so many different directions, but this is the thing. And even now, it's been 4 or 5 years since the last episode. 4 years?
Yes, about 5, yeah.
For Game of Thrones.
2019?
No, 2019.
Was it the year?
2019,
the year that everything ended. The Infinity Saga, Game of Thrones ended in the same month. And then we went into
last year of non-COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Just before the world went to shit.
Yes. But
long live it.
We're still talking about the theories, because there's still, yes, I think a lot of theories now are just so dead in the water. And again, this is
Yeah.
the sort of problem, and this is why I'm glad that I when I was putting it on the list in the Wheel of Names, I chose it as a top three because it could have gone a bit sideways. I mean, knowing what I know now and having to go back through and look through stuff and do research, the last two that I would have picked, probably Tyrion would have made it on the list anyway because it is a good,
Yeah.
solid theory.
I'm happy that I had that registered in here. Like that was already locked
Yeah,
and loaded.
it was already
But
there.
yeah, the other two I pulled out my arse at the last minute because I've read so many that it was it's just too hard because it's like, well, yeah, this is a theory, but guess what? It didn't pan out. And in actual fact, now that it hasn't panned out, it don't make any sense.
I know, and this is the thing that I was questioning with the Jamie being Azor Ahai thing,
Oh, don't
but I added it in.
love that.
But I added it in because of the whole alternate potential of what could have happened in season 8. Because this was a theory that was put out there just before season 8 came out. I think from what I was reading,
it upsets me so much that it's not going to come true.
How good? But that's going back to it then. How good? And that's why I put it on the list, even though it's dead in the water as far as the show goes.
Yeah.
How good would it have been to see that though? That Cersei's like, no, I'm not sending people fucking anywhere. Get bent. And Jamie's like, whoopah, shing, flaming sword.
Kills the mountain because the mountain was standing right next to her because he was like, what, you get him to kill me?
I know, runs from the mountain. I'd have run from the mountain because then we would never have got Clegane Bowl, which needed
touche. Yes, run from the mountain. Yes, run. I want to see that fight. Yeah. You don't deserve to kill him.
Exactly.
That's not your death. Yeah.
Kick him in the shins, whatever it takes.
Well, let's be fair. It's a flaming sword. He's gonna back up a few steps.
Probably, yeah, because the mountain wasn't just a complete zombie.
Yeah. But it's it's such a brilliant. I think more the way that you described it, how you went from the hand to the sword to the death to Cersei. Oh yes, like
it just
so good.
It would have been so good because that was where Jamie's in the show anyway. That's where Jamie's arc was going anyway. He just left Cersei. He was properly becoming a good guy. And then obviously he gets with Brienne. He knights Brienne as well, which obviously was a tremendous moment in season 8. And then all of a sudden it's like, I get why, because it's like I've got to go home to Cersei because she's about to be annihilated. The whole talking between Tyrion and Jamie outside the gates, brilliant. But then when it actually gets in there, and even Cersei loses it. Cersei's bursts into tears like, "Don't let me and my baby die." And then they fall, and they're killed by falling rocks, and it's like, 2 feet away was safety because there's no fallen rubble.
But it's the most, for someone like, I love and hate Cersei. I hate her for the shit that she's done, but I love her for just the shit that she's done because it's such a good fucking character.
I don't think there's a more powerful female character into you.
No, I totally. She's
the most. Think of anybody else.
She's fucking terrifying because she's so fucking unpredictable.
Massively. No idea. We all thought that she was going to send an army north.
No one knew she was not going to do that. You could tell lips moving, lies coming
because out. Because of how scared she was when that white came out. It was almost. I generally thought, I was like, damn, she's going to do it. No. And then it was like, oh,
I remember saying,
I should have known.
She's not. I was like, no, she's not. She's full of shit. It was the most unsatisfying way that I wanted to see it. I wanted to see her die. She deserved it. But we deserved better than what we got. That was such a piss. She got to die the way that she always wanted to with Jaime. She got her death. Even though she might not have wanted to die in the rocks, she still got to die with Jaime.
Do you know there's also 2 other people that in the sack of King's Landing that is it 2 people or 1 people? I can't remember. Was Yara at the Yara's at the end ceremony, so Yara survives the whole thing.
Yeah, thank God, because she's
but the other one
brilliant.
Is what's her name? Oberyn's wife, one of the mother of Sand Snakes.
Lyria Sand.
Yeah, Lyria Sand, that was it, because she was in the dungeons.
She was poisoned. She was dead.
No, she wasn't. It was her daughter.
Oh, that's right. Yes, and she was watching her daughter die. Yes, that's correct. Did she
She's
get
in the
out?
dungeons. Well, no, she was in the dungeons, though, wasn't she? She's probably
She
died
just
from
left her
that one
there.
as well. Yeah, she's
Oh,
another
they just
character.
left.
Yeah, as
Oh
well.
my
Yeah,
God!
of course.
What about Shame?
Oh, yeah, she would have been in there as well. She'd have
Oh my
died
God! It's just
after
fucking
being
crypto.
brutalized and everything by the mountain.
Oh my God! I don't even want to bear thinking of.
The mountain's ginormous zombie penis.
Oh my God! That is such a good place to end it. let's spin the wheel for next. I'm actually intrigued. What's next week?
Spin the wheel. Oh, my brain hurts now.
Your brain hurts. My fucking chest is on fire. I'm like, oh my God, all this information.
Oh yeah, what a brilliant episode this is going to be.
Good.
The Conquest.
Oh my God, I get to put all this knowledge that I have read about the Conquest out there. Oh, this is going to be great. I'm very excited.
I have no idea how we're possibly going to do
Right.
this.
We're going to have to do some research, and we're going to have to possibly have notes. So if you see us looking down, apologies, but it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. We're going to do this. We can do this.
There's a lot though. But I mean,
we've just got to. Do you know what we've got to do? We have to have a crash course on YouTube of how to say his sisters' names.
One of them's actually I don't even know. One of them's Rhaella, isn't it?
No, that's House of the Dragon. It's Rhaenyra and Rhaenyra, and it's is it Rhaenyra?
No, it's Rhaella. It's Rhaella and Visenya. I'm sure.
Visenya. I will double check.
See,
definitely Visenya.
Now I see how much we've got. Rhaenys. That's it, not Rhaella.
Rhaenys. That's it. Rhaenys and yes, Visenya. So it's such an it's these people set the tone of the Targaryen household, and you are going to learn all about it next week. Come to the history lesson of the Conquest.
We're reading shit.
You look so fucking panicked.
We're reading shit so you don't have to.
Exactly. If you want to learn all about Aegon the Conquest and how the Targaryens basically took over Westeros, basically the theme of what you will see with every Targaryen king that goes forward starts right here with these people.
With the Conquest.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be fun, man.
This might be a two-parter. It's going to be a long... It's going to be buckle the fuck in.
We will take it as it comes. If it turns out to be a two-parter, it turns out to be a fucking two-parter.
Yeah, deal with it.
Fucking have it.
Because we're going to have to deal with it as well.
Exactly. I'm so excited about this. So thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you to everyone who is subscribed to Patreon. If you are watching this on YouTube later on and you do want to see these episodes before anybody else, come and join us on Patreon. It is £2 a month to see these beautiful faces right here every week mostly every week. We try and stay as consistent. We've been very consistent. Episode 3 I think is possibly going up on YouTube very shortly. This will be going up on Patreon. We also have the live show every Sunday, the big one, the main one, the one that I do every Sunday. We also have our, oh my God, I've totally thrown myself. We have our social medias, Instagram and TikTok. We have our community Facebook page, which is growing fucking every day. Still blows my mind. Thank you so much. We also play video games on Twitch. Please be sure to check out my Captain Goodwill and First Admiral, I think I'm saying that right, First Admiral Graham, who are doing a fantastic job on Star Trek.
Star Trek one, yeah.
Oh my God. Trekkies everywhere. Please go and join Captain Goodwill and Admiral Graham, that's it. Because they are honestly, they had a guest on last week. They're doing absolutely amazing work. I think they are live this Friday.
Kevin's starting a horror one soon as well, I'm pretty sure, isn't he?
Yeah, horror one's started.
We need to condense this because there's just so much.
Branching out. We are branching
everywhere now. It should just be the case of just come join us in the nerdy community. There's shit everywhere. There's everything going on.
Come and fucking join us. Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Everything.
Everywhere. We are Legion.
We literally are Legion. Nerdy Legion, but we're Legion.
We are Legion. So yes, thank you everyone for watching. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you. Thank you everybody else as well. It's been another fun episode. I think we're having more and more fun with these episodes every single time we go along, because we found the groove now as well, and
we're in the groove.
Yeah,
I'm in the groove.
100%. 100%.
So, stay nerdy, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.